College Success Arizona presents Scholar Interviews. The following interview features Scott Koch.
I grew up in West Phoenix in a little town called Avondale, Arizona.
What are your earliest childhood memories?
I'd say pretty much from around preschool to kindergarten, some of my early memories of school and some family events that I had in my life.
And those family events, can you talk about those?
You know, just the Christmas gatherings with all the family, the Thanksgiving dinners, just kind of the bigger holidays where a lot of us were around all the time since we all lived in Phoenix together, so it was kind of nice.
So you would describe your childhood as good, pleasant?
Oh yeah, I'd say it was a great childhood, definitely.
And growing up in the West Valley, what was that like, schools-wise? How was school for you? What kind of student were you?
Well, I went to a private Catholic school, so I didn't have the traditional public school experience ever in my life. Not as many people around, kind of a little more rural than a traditional city setting. But I think it was productive to my schooling, helped me to succeed a little, pushed me to succeed a little more.
And when you were in school, did you enjoy school? Was it a pleasant experience, or were you like a lot of kids, you didn't like it at all?
I liked it. I was always challenged, and the school I went to put me in classes that were more fitting for me and like advanced students, so I was always challenged. So I guess I enjoyed it. I still haven't really come to a point where I don't enjoy it yet. So.
At what point when you were attending classes, going to school, did you make some determination, this is maybe a career opportunity for me, I want to go be an attorney, or I want to be, something maybe in the medical field? Do you remember that?
I want to say somewhere maybe around like 7th or 8th grade when I started to think about the future and think about high school and, think about that this was going to become something in my life and that it was time to think about that. So I'd say probably right around 7th or 8th grade.
Did it come to you as something like, oh, this sounds like something I could be passionate about, or more like this is something that would provide a good living for me? What factors sort of led to what you wanted to be, and where is your interest?
Well, my interest right now is in like earth science. My major is earth and environmental studies, which is basically a combination of geology and sustainability. But I think, that kind of came as a motive to like provide a good family or provide a good life for myself. And that was really like the main motivation, like going to college will help me become a better person financially and physically. So that was like my main motivation, I think. So
you understood at a relatively young age that a college education would benefit you and help you build your future as a person, as an employee, or eventually maybe an employer. You had a good understanding of that?
Yeah, I think that was kind of like not forced on me, but it was definitely, I had family around me telling me that was a pretty important thing to do in life. Grandparents, parents, telling me that it was important, so I just kind of accepted that as fact and went forward with it.
Now, do you think if you wouldn't have had those influences from your family encouraging you to go to college, like if they had said nothing at all or something maybe contrary, like you don't need that, do you think you'd be somewhere else in life right now?
I don't think so, because I think society puts a pretty big role on college, so I think eventually I would have felt that, not pressure, but that I had to go to school to become something. So I think eventually I would have found that, but probably not as quickly as I did.
Okay, so we're recording this in February of 2016. How old are you now, and what college are you attending? Are you freshman, senior? What are you doing?
I just turned 21, so I'm a junior, and I'm at Arizona State University in Tempe.
And what are you studying?
My major is Earth and Environmental Studies, and I have a minor in film and media production.
And at what point did you make a connection with College Success Arizona, and tell us about that experience?
I think the very first experience was in 8th grade. We had a representative who won a scholarship come to our school and talk about it. And they told us, 4 years down the road when you graduate high school, you're going to be eligible for this scholarship. So it kind of came back up my senior year of high school. And that's when I really applied. And when I found out I won, they told me I would have the scholarship administered through College Success Arizona.
And describe the scholarship itself. How is it paid out to you? How important has it been? Is it in your college experience so far?
Every semester I send an email to the moderator of the scholarship, and I update him on my transcript, my grades, my schedule, and just my life in general. And then they begin the transfer process. They put it directly into my bank, and then I pay my tuition with that. But, I mean, overall, to my college life, it's been instrumental to basically just helping me keep out of debt and being able to afford college, which, I mean, can't really ask for much more than that. So it's been a huge deal of help.
So you will potentially graduate college maybe debt-free or something pretty close to it?
Yeah, pretty close to debt-free, which is awesome, in my opinion.
Well, and talk about other students you know who are graduating college. They're young people, 22, maybe 23 years old. They haven't earned a dime yet, and they might owe $100,000. Is that a pretty common scenario I just described?
Oh, yeah. One of my good friends is coming out of college with a tremendous amount of debt, which is kind of sad to see, honestly, because he doesn't know where he's going in his life. So it's kind of sad. Very common.
And earth sciences, when you think about earth sciences, where do you picture yourself, let's say, 5 years from now? Where do you hope to be? Do you want to be working for Tesla or some clean energy company, solar? What does this mean?
I want to be working for some kind of resource management agency, maybe the BLM, National Park Service, Game and Fish Department, something where you get to be outdoors and kind of help manage public land and what people do with the land. That's kind of my ideal job, I think, in the field.
And when you look at the public lands today, do you think the government's doing a pretty good job, or it could always be better?
Yeah, I think they're doing a pretty good job for the resources they have. I like to spend a lot of time outdoors, so I get to see, some of these land use changes and work with the people in charge a little bit. So, yeah, I think they're doing a pretty good job.
I've interviewed some people. I know some people with the Grand Canyon park rangers up there in national parks, and it sounds like whenever I've spoken to them, like that would be just an incredible job to be out in that natural beauty all the time. Is that sort of where you want to be?
Yeah, because I definitely don't like cubicle or office jobs. I think I would get pretty bored. So something where you get to spend time in that kind of setting would just be an absolute dream of mine.
And College Success Arizona, I know we have success advisors and people. Most of them seem to be former teachers or have an education background who work with students like yourself. Talk about your interaction with the success advisors and how they've sort of acted as mentors or coaches.
Yeah, I've had quite a few over the 3 years at ASU. Yeah, they've been pretty helpful. They're always presenting themselves to be available for counseling or just anything I need to run by them. And we have basically 2 meetings a semester where we meet up and just talk about my progress. And it's kind of helpful to have that feedback, and they're looking out for you, which is nice. So keeping you on the right track.
So obviously college is something that enriches you academically. Can you talk about the experience from the sense of your peer group, meeting friends, and networking, which could benefit you long term?
Yeah, I think I've definitely met a lot more people than I ever thought I would, whether it be through clubs or through classes or roommates. I've come across a lot of people that I think share similar interests, which I don't think I would find anywhere else except at a college. So I think that's helped me to be more focused on my studies and more passionate about what I do, because I'm surrounded by friends who share the same interests. So that's, I think, how it's enriched me personally.
And Scott, you sound like you were very together in terms of planning and thinking about your future at a young age in middle school. I think you mentioned. What would you say to young people in middle school and the importance of thinking years ahead? Because I don't think most kids are in the place where you were.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think they're thinking that far ahead, like that's not going to be me. But, I mean, eventually that day's going to come, and the sooner you plan it out, the better, greater experience you're going to have in high school and college. And eventually down the road, I think you'll thank yourself for going through the actions and going through the motions of at least just thinking and talking to people about what you want to do in the future.
And if you can, how did you win? What were the qualifying criteria that helped you gain the scholarship from College Success Arizona? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was mostly based on academics. GPA was a big factor, and then they also looked at volunteering and kind of your personal life outside of school. So they were looking for someone who was pretty involved and then also very focused academically.
Do you volunteer today?
I don't really have too much time. I occasionally help my grandpa with St. Vincent de Paul maybe once or twice a year when I have a chance, but not as much as I did in high school.
And it sounds like another critical part of your upbringing was your parents, your grandparents, the people in your family encouraging you, saying you need to go to college. Was that really critical, pivotal?
Yeah, because, my parents, they didn't go to college, so they wanted to provide me with something better than they had. So I think that in itself was huge. And then, of course, my grandparents were pushing me because they knew what my parents went through. They know what they went through. So, yeah, it was a pretty big deal.
Thank you, Scott, for the interview and for working so hard to make a difference in our community.